Are you ready to stop riding the emotional elevator of life? Are you ready to learn how to elevate your emotions that keep you psychologically traumatized or in an addictive behavior? You are in the right place. Here is your host, Sandee Byrd, trauma, addiction, life, and spiritual coach of the Emotional Elevator Show.
Well, welcome. I almost got stressed out because I couldn't find my wand because I haven't been here. But anyway, tonight's show is all about life is messy. Of course, I am Sandee Byrd. This is the Emotional Elevator, and I am on Inspired Choices Network. So, like I always like to do, let's just take a couple of good deep breaths because sometimes life is messy. We run on to our show and we just want a moment to settle in. And I want you to have a moment to settle in. So let's just take three good deep breaths in. Ah, ah, hmm. So if you still want to breathe, breathe. I can talk. So that is one skill set you have for yourself when life is messy. You can always go back to that breath. And the one thing is, when life is messy and you are anxious, breathing into an 8 count breath, holding it, and then just letting it out will calm you down, will calm down that anxiousness. Because life sometimes is challenging. There's so many metaphors out there, and I'm probably going to dive into a lot of them. Life is like a box of chocolates. Some days we got some nuts, some days we got some raspberries. Of course, when I think about days we have raspberries, that's sickness. But nuts, we all know, is those days that are just challenging and kind of crazy, and we don't feel like we are in control. Then there is, and this was a post for me on my social media, is um, life has been handing me a lot of lemons recently, and I'm making lemonade. Am I going to have sweet lemonade or bitter lemonade? And what I mean by that is, are you going to sweeten that lemonade with some positivity, or are you going to keep it bitter and stay in that negative mindset? Because life is not supposed to be all rainbows and unicorns. It's really, how are we going to know when life is great if we don't have challenging moments in our life? And I wasn't on here last week because I went to a retreat, fabulous retreat, did some laughter yoga for some young ladies, and was on a high and came home and just hit. Because a lot of things in life, when you're out of town, you don't have to face. But when you get home, you do. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes in my life. Like I say, I do have 100 and a half now, year old mother in law. And we've been facing some financial and some physical challenges. And it's very challenging. I'm not going to say stressful because I don't allow stress into my body. But it's very challenging when you have all these complexities and you are the one who knows, hey, let's try this. Let's go here. Let's do this. Let's do this. Who can help us? Who can help, this? That's been my role. And I've also taken on the role as being kind of in between the caregivers and the family. And we now have another partner involved in this. And it's kind of been challenging for me. So when I'm out of town, I'm pretty much left alone. But then when I come in town, oh, you got to get all these things done because I leave again on a mission trip in a week to hand out wheelchairs in a third world country. So life sometimes does get messy and it gets very challenging. So is my lemonade some days it's a little sour, but a lot of days I like it to be sweetened with positivity because a famous saying, and I say it's a famous saying because I know I hear it all the time, but my husband always says this too shall pass, or you can only take one day, one moment. And if you don't have that moment, just take this second. And he says that all the time whenever he sees stress with any of us, with, of course, between us, we have 6 kids, with what's going on, with my mother-in-law and the financial stress we're all going through and the physical stress we're going through, is he says, we just have this one moment. So why are we so focused on going, further? And I say this all the time to clients when they're like, well, in July, I've got to do this and this. Yeah, but how do you know what's going to happen in July? We don't know. So why do we sometimes build ourselves up for things we're not even sure what's going to happen by then? I mean, let's say it's a big bill, like when some of us on April 15th, some of us owe taxes. Sometimes it's basically more than we can handle. If you just kind of go, you know what, I got to do it. You can set up a payment plan, you can pay it. But if I stress about next year right now and this year, what am I doing? I'm harming my body and myself by thinking about it. Instead, who knows? Maybe I won't. Oh, next year or whatever. But that's what I'm saying. Like, and talking about life is messy. And how do we handle that? And how great it is to have ways to handle when you're feeling, ah, I just want to put this pillow over my head and scream. What's wrong with doing that? I've done it. One of the favorite exercises in a lot of my laughter yoga that I lead is throwing a temper tantrum. A lot of people love throwing a temper tantrum. What's wrong with when you become an adult and you just need that moment to throw a temper tantrum? What's wrong with that? Or the day that you are just you can't even get out of bed because you feel overwhelmed and you don't know why you feel overwhelmed and you really don't have much going on, just taking a day for yourself. Because those days when life is challenging, messy is the word I used, but challenging, what's wrong with just taking a moment to say, you know what? I need this moment for me. I need this moment for clarity. I need a moment. And the biggest things, or the biggest asset I want to say I have in my life, is I have multiple coaches. I'm in a coaching program, I'm part of a coaching group. I have 2 coaches, wonderful coaches, that I know at any point when life is messy, if I really need to get on the call with someone, I can. And, whenever someone says, oh, and, I do have someone out there that if I really need to go to therapy tomorrow, I could go to therapy. But it's that. Why do we try to sometimes not use resources we have out there to help us when life is messy? Why do we we're afraid for people to know, oh my gosh, I feel overwhelmed right now in my life. Why do we feel that stress? Or whenever we're around that Debbie Downer, and I shouldn't say the word Debbie Downer, whenever we're around that person that just, well, I used to tease, and sometimes my old me, I was Sandy the Sloth because I was like, oh. But when we are in one of those, why is it easy for some of us to snap out of it and some of us just keep going and going and gosh, this sucks. Today just sucks. It's only 10 a.m. and today sucks. Well, you know what? You're putting it in there. You're putting it in yourself that today's going to suck. So all you're going to see is the sucky part of the day. So my analogy of life is like a box of chocolates. Some days it's nuts. Some days it's got raspberries. Some day you get that flavor and you're like, oh, this is not the one for me. How do you handle that? What do you do? So I remember I used to like to buy like the Russell Stover's chocolate. Um, And I would always buy 2 boxes because 1 box I would not put my finger in it. I was not one of those people that put their finger in it. I know that's a thing, been around that thing, but I would always do that and take something and see what flavor it was, and I would sit it there. And it could be at work, at home, somewhere, and then I would have the other good box there. But I would set that there because then they have the lids that have the flavors, but that wouldn't be around. But I would set it there and I would just listen. And I think I really got pleasure with listening to people. Oh my God, who put their finger on all the chocolates? Because no, nobody can have chocolate. How do you know I put my finger in the chocolate? I would right away say, how do you know I put my finger in the chocolate? Like you are making it all about something it's not. And sometimes we do that in life. And sometimes we take on too much. But then when you present somebody with the box and say, no, actually, look, see, it's got chocolate on it. This is what I used. I used a little fork or a knife just so you could see what flavor it is. Because the top got messed up or it fell on the floor and I didn't want to set it here just in case someone wanted to put the top back on it. So, or I just wanted to see how you would react. I think I knew then that's why I would be a good coach because I like to challenge people in their thinking for their day. And when you are in these sticky situations, are you going to see that are you really going to sit there? Someone had to have done in your life for you to think that's what you do with chocolate. You put your finger in it, or you break each one, and then you get to the cherry one and you broke it open, and now it's all over the place. So no one's going to want that one. But just doing something like that and thinking about it. Because think about life that way as real messy. And that storm comes. And you have these plans. You have plans. Let's say right now there's a holiday, there's, a graduation, or there's something big going on in your life. And you're planning this big, great outdoor. I was listening to a story about this, a big, great outdoor plans, and then it rains. Do you right away cancel? No, you improvise. Why can't we do that more in our lives when we're feeling challenged or feeling anxious or feeling, just feeling? Why can't we improvise or just look at it for the moment it is and stop creating these everlasting gobstoppers from Willy Wonka that just keep going and going and going because it is. Life is not going to be rainbows and unicorns, but it's how you face it. Can you see the rainbow after the storm? Can you see that horse that just bucked you as a unicorn? Because that's what life is about when life is messy. And just learning to take that moment to say, you know what? There's something that I need to pay attention to right now. And what is that something? What is it in my life right now that I need to pay attention to? Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's that why do I take on so many things and then I'm miserable about it? What is it about that that's satisfying to me? Why do I do that? Why do I want to do that? And then start working it through with yourself because life is messy, but it's how we clean up the mess. Do we organize the mess so do we compartmentalize the mess so we can say, you know what, the next time this happens, I know exactly how to handle this. I know exactly what to do. Because let's say your life is unicorns and rainbows all the time, and then it gets messy one day, and you're like, I don't even know where to begin. I don't know where to start. because that is what life is. We're all, life for all of us is a work in progress. We are all working in progress in our life. So you've been joining me, Sandee Byrd, on Inspired Choices Network. This is Emotional Elevator, and we are ready already for our first break. And I'm just on here talking about life is messy. And while we are at break, take a moment, breathe, take a moment, ground yourself. Just take a moment and think, how did I handle the last time my life was messy? Do I have players on the field that can help me? Do I have people in my group that I can go to when life is messy, that aren't going to be bringing me down or keeping me at that level, but are going to say, what can you do to, what can we do? Or what can you do in this situation? So if it comes up again, how can I help? Or what do you need from me? Or what is it you need in this moment? Do you just need somebody to listen while you vent? Because a lot of times that's our biggest attribute as a coach. We just listen to you as you're talking and talking, and we might ask one question, because that's all I got yesterday. One question, and guess what? You're absolutely right. Yes, this is it. Da da da, and going on and on. And I'm like, wow, I knew that already. I knew that already. But I needed just that ear, just that person to stand there, just to listen sometimes. So I've already almost talked through our break, but we are going to go on our first break. So come back and listen to Life is Messy.
Are you living a life of psychological trauma or suffering from an addiction? Are you ready to learn new techniques to elevate your emotions without sustaining or obtaining them from substances that are not good for your mind or body? Then continue to tune into Emotional Elevator with trauma, addiction, life, and spiritual coach, Sandee Byrd, where you will learn techniques to elevate your emotions that don't require a magic pill, food, or impulsive behavior. Listen to Emotional Elevator with Sandee Byrd, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Pacific, on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Emotional Elevator with Sandee Byrd. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to sandy@emotionalelevator.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back. So it was kind of funny when we went to break. I looked over and I had this little thing of paper clips, and my mic is plugged up, and somehow it was teetering on the edge. And I just went, oh my gosh, those are going to fall and then they're going to go everywhere. And if they did, what would I have done? I would have just had to pick them up. But I was making almost a mountain out of paper clips. Yes, it would have been a pain in the butt to pick them all up. But you know what? If they fell, pick them up. But that's kind of made me think about this whole topic. Life is messy. We sometimes, I'm not saying anything we go through is small, it's how we react to it. Do we make it these mountains? When sometimes in life we can make them molehills, but I'm not trying to say, like, if you go through something traumatic, I'm just saying minimize it. No, we have to go through it. We've got to work through it. But when we do, remember it. Not to harp on it, but remember it as, okay, so I learned how to get through this. So next time something comes up, you can say, you know what? I got through that. Oh, this is going to be a breeze. But sometimes we have to sit in it for a moment to realize how to get through it. And it's okay. It is okay. Because life is a box of chocolates. Some days you get that cherry and it goes all down you and it runs all over the place. Sometimes you get the nuts, which kind of makes you feel a little out of your mind some days. And they always say when you get the flavored raspberries, it reminds me sometimes of chocolate covered cough syrup. So think about that. Like sometimes life is a challenge. And what do you do to help yourself get through the challenge? And who do you have as resources in those challenge? And what are some of the tips? And like I said, there is nothing wrong with being an adult, putting yourself in a room and throwing a temper tantrum. Temper tantrum. If you're here in Richmond, Virginia, come to one of my laughter yogas that I lead. We love to throw temper tantrums. There's nothing wrong with grabbing that pillow, beating it up, screaming in it, yelling at the top of your lungs. There is nothing wrong with that. Having a good cry, there's nothing wrong with that. I think we get conditioned to think all those things. Well, you're too old to have a temper tantrum. We're criticized as children when we do have a temper tantrum. And sometimes we don't know why they're really having the temper tantrum. Maybe it's something they don't understand. And maybe if we just explain it to them, they won't have that temper tantrum. We always think it's because they want something, but maybe there's a reason. Maybe if we took the time to explain it. But as an adult, have your temper tantrum. What is wrong with that? And like I was talking about, life just has its challenges. And some days are more challenging than others. Sorry. And then it's what do you do to get through the challenge? What techniques or what tools do you have to get through the challenge? Because that's what makes those messy days easy to clean up. Because we end up with tools. We end up with, we see the lesson to be learned and we move on. And I know some of these things that I'm saying, some things like move on, well, that's easier said than done. Well, maybe it's because you don't want to move on. You want to sit in the mess and linger in it and figure out why you're in the mess and what created the mess. How can you stop creating the mess? Because that's sometimes what we forget to see is sometimes we create our own messes. I've done it. I can say that. I wanted to heal the world. I'm not going to be able to heal the world. I want to heal everyone around me. It's not up to me. I want all my children to put me on a pedestal. No, I don't, but I'm just saying that. All my children should bow down to me. No, that's on them to do. But sometimes those are the things we create within ourselves. And we can't. I can't heal everyone around me. I can't heal the world. I can't control everything around me. I just can't, nor do I want to anymore. There was a time where I did want to do that, and I don't want to anymore because all I was doing was compounding mess on top of mess, stress on top of stress, stress within my body, because that's the biggest thing when we're going through these messy situations in life. Do you ever feel, what is your body going through? Have you ever been where you got to do something you really don't want to do, but you know you have to do it? And you're like, oh, I don't feel good. Oh, I don't want to. But you feel like you have to do it. So you create the illness within yourself. Or you wake up and the mess starts, or you start getting stressed for the day because the shower head falls off, the toilet wouldn't flush, or the toilet clogs, the dog runs out. That's a big one for me. Some days the dog will escape, and then it's a matter of me opening up my car door, getting him in the car, then going and getting a leash, getting him in the house. But I started thinking about that. Why not see the bright things and think, wow, I'm fortunate I have another shower to go into if the shower head falls off. Or I have a sink. I have running water to be able to wash myself if I had to. The dog ran out. Maybe the dog just wanted a little extra attention from me. Maybe the dog was preventing me from getting in an accident around the corner. It's thinking about the positive side of the mess. And yes, it's hard for me to say this when you're in the mess. Yesterday, when I was in some of my feelings, could I see the light? Yes and no. Why was everything so great when I was out of town at the retreat and then I came home and it's like, oh my gosh, because I created that. I created that. I have to get this done. I have to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this before I leave instead of delegating some of it to other people. You know what? I really can't do this week because I want to get caught up in my schoolwork because I'm in a class right now. Or I'm sorry, I can't meet this week because I'm just coming from one event and I am going out of town for 10 days and I need to be mentally ready to be somewhere handing out wheelchairs in a third world country. I need to be mentally and physically prepared for that. So saying no. But yes, did I create that? Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. And oh, yeah, why don't we get together this weekend so we can go through that? Instead of me saying, you know what? Can you find maybe somebody else to help you with that? I understand that I'm your go-to person, but I know this person here can help you with that. Taking on things that I didn't necessarily need to continue to take on, but I did it anyway. Because what do I want to prove to myself? That I can handle all this, or that if I think so much about me going on an airplane for possibly 14 hours, maybe then I'll start getting anxious because I'll be on a plane for 14 hours and it's a Boeing, and oh my gosh, every time I open up my Google, what comes on there is about Boeings and how they're having all these problems. Oh my gosh, now I don't want to think about this, and now I'm thinking about this, and so let me just take on all these things so I don't have a moment. And now I'm double stressed when it's time for me to leave the country, to go somewhere to do work, missionary basic work. And I'm already feeling like I'm exhausted. And I'm going to be getting there where there's going to be moments of emotions for me. And I'm not going to be prepared because what have I done? I've compiled everything on myself. And these are examples. Might not necessarily done some of this. I did start saying, oh, I want to do this. I'm going to help with this. Let me get this done. And then I was like, you know what? This can wait until I come back. This meeting can wait till I come back, because if they want me to do this coaching thing, or if they want me to do laughter yoga for them as a business, I'm not going to be able to do it for like 3 weeks. So why am I trying to rush to do it before? Because if they want me as a laughter yoga leader, they're not going to bring in somebody who does handstands. Like, think about that in your own life. How many things do you take on or feel rushed to do without taking the moment to think about it and go, is this what I really want? Do I really need to do this right now? Can I just say, I'm going to take a moment? Or I'm not going to be able to do this for a little while. So, what can I do right now in the moment? So, it is time for our second break. You have been listening to me, Sandee Byrd, on Emotional Elevator on the Inspired Choices Network. I am talking about life is messy, giving a bunch of examples. And when we come back, we're going to talk about how do we elevate ourselves when life gets so messy? What is the way to elevate ourselves when life challenges us? So we're going to go on that break. Stay tuned for the second half of the show to talk all about how to elevate our emotions when life is messy.
Are you living a life of psychological trauma or suffering from an addiction? Are you ready to learn new techniques to elevate your emotions without sustaining or obtaining them from substances that are not good for your mind or body? Then continue to tune into Emotional Elevator with trauma, addiction, life, and spiritual coach, Sandee Byrd, where you will learn techniques to elevate your emotions that don't require a magic pill, food, or impulsive behavior. Listen to Emotional Elevator with Sandee Byrd, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Pacific, on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is Emotional Elevator with Sandee Byrd. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to sandy@emotionalelevator.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back. I've been talking all about life is messy, giving many examples of life being messy and how sometimes we take on a little bit more than we are bite. Can't remember now. Take on a little bit more than we can chew. But sometimes we do it and we make our lives messy. But what can we do to not make our lives so messy? Or when our life is messy, what are the things we can do? And I did mention there's nothing wrong as an adult of going in a corner, throwing a temper tantrum, pounding on the wall, screaming in a pillow, screaming in a closet, because you've got to let it out. That's the biggest part when you're feeling challenged or you're feeling stressed, anxious. Like I said, when you're feeling anxious, there's so many tapping you can do. Um, there's breathing. The biggest thing whenever life is really messy and you're feeling anxious or stressed, just breathe. Take a long, long deep breath in, because let me tell you something. That is probably the biggest part of me being on a healing journey and me being now a breathwork facilitator is the breath. Whenever you're feeling like, "Oh, this day can't get any worse," just breathe in as deep as you can. Usually it's an 8 to 12 count, and just hold it. I usually say hold it for 4, and then just sigh it out. Tense your whole body up. Try that. Just tense up your whole body as you breathe in, and then just let it all go. Those are techniques you can use. You don't need me to use those. But those are techniques that you can use to start elevating your emotions. Because just by me doing that at one time, I'm relaxed. And I do that a lot now before my show. So I am relaxed. So I slow myself down. I'm not sure if I mentioned this when I started the show, is that I had done 2 lives. And when I was doing one of my lives before the show to invite people to the show, because today I did not get on the internet and I was busy, so I couldn't populate the show. So I got on there and I did a live, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a slow connection. What if my show there's a slow connection and da da da? What if? What would be more appropriate for a slow connection than life is messy? And that's what I had to start thinking. You know what? What would be more appropriate? But I also want you to understand, yes, I am a coach. Yes, I coach people. I do middle-aged women who are in the transition of life, people who have a lot of generational baggage, couples about to get certification so I can go in and lead some business coaching. But as a coach, I am not perfect. I still have moments where my life is messy, but it's what can I do to elevate myself when my life is messy. Another thing I do is I journal. When something is challenging to me, I mean, I wish I had a mobile camera because I would show you how many journals are in my office right now. I have journals for almost everything. Journals for gratitude, journals for my daily journal, journals for school, journals is how I'm feeling, journals on challenges, challenging moments in my life. I have so many journals that I write in, and everyone's like, why don't you just have one? Because I like having a lot of them so I can go through on days where I might need a little bit extra gratitude. Oh, I'm just going to pick up this. Because if my life is feeling a little bit challenged or messy, and I pick up one and I'm just reading, oh gosh, last Wednesday I was going through the same thing. Why was I going through the same thing? Then to just pick up my gratitude journal and be like, oh wow, I am grateful. I am so grateful for my life and the opportunities I have in my life. And I'm grateful for my house. I'm grateful. And then over here, I can write the challenges in there. So I'm like, wow, this happened last Wednesday. Let me look. And then I can look in that journal instead of going through a journal that's got it all. So yes, I am a true believer in multiple journals. Um, so that you can just journal on many different levels. But the biggest thing that I like to help other people is just what feels right for you when life is messy and what feels good to you so you're not stuck in the messiness. What feels good to you to start elevating your emotions? Because there's not one size fits all when it comes to messy days, challenging days, stressful days, anxiety. There's not one size fits all. If you're anxious and I tell you to breathe and that gets you more anxious, am I going to want you to, oh, well, that works for everybody? Well, that my breath pattern might not work for you if you are anxious. But tapping, certain tappings, this might work for one person And then might be like, oh, I can't tap on my face. I just can't do that. Or butterfly tapping, which calms down your heart rate. Like, I'm ready to go to bed. If I keep breathing and tapping, you're going to see relaxed, really relaxing. Because, but like I said, the first time I learned to tap on my face and certain parts of my face and everything like that, it was, I can't do that. But now I can. But there might be some people out there that they can't. Cranial massages. So one size does not fit, but when your life is challenged or messy, we want to bring up your emotions to get you out of that messy. So when it is storming outside, when your life just feels like, oh, I can't handle anymore, I want you to be able to see the rainbow when it's over with. That when that storm goes away, there is that rainbow. And if that horse bucks you, I want you to be able to see it as a unicorn. Because it's all about elevating yourself. But sometimes you do need to, what can I change when this situation keeps happening? Why does it keep happening? Maybe there's something you need to change. Maybe there's something that you enjoy about that situation that you really don't think you do. That's another thing, but that's about elevating your emotions. What techniques can you use or tools to elevate your emotions, to recognize this is just a messy situation in this moment, and I can get out of it and come on the other side? Because sometimes we see these messy situations, and then when someone says, well, what, as a coach, my coach, why do you think that is? Why did you take on all that knowing you're only in town for a week? Why wouldn't you delegate this to other people? Do you not think that anyone's capable of doing what you do? And then me sitting back going, I really don't want to do that. Why am I taking it on? I've got to get these other things done. Now I can't focus on these other things because I'm taking that on. Wait a minute, is there something deeper to what I'm doing? But taking that moment to have that conversation with myself was so enlightening to me. And it elevated my emotions. And it can elevate yours. So take that breath and hold it and sigh it out. Pound that wall. Throw that temper tantrum. Write in that journal. Have multiple journals or different parts of a journal. Whatever it takes. Having a 5-minute dance party. If you've not had a 5-minute dance party, you are missing out. Sing. Who cares if you're off key? Sing. Sing a song. Make it simple to last the whole day long. I could sing that to you, but I'm not going to. Come up with songs. I'm going to say this past weekend I was at a retreat, and every time someone said something that was just off the wall, we would just break into a song. Like, what? Like, beat it, beat it, beat it, beat it. I mean, all of a sudden we're breaking out in a song. Here we are diving deep into feelings and emotions and things we're stuck in. And then here we are breaking out into songs, doing laughter yoga, smiling. Do you know how a smile can change a messy day just by, oh, I'm so blessed. And I'm just going to smile. Take a moment. There's a bird right now chirping outside my window that y'all can't hear. But that's another thing. Taking that moment to hear the birds singing. To hear a bird sing. Take a moment and look outside. Wow. It's beautiful out here today. The trees are blooming. The sun is shining. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Let elevate your emotions on days when life is messy. It does. And having coaches, therapists, people that you can talk to whenever you're feeling like life is messy and that can help you and can guide you, not give you the answers, because that's not what a coach, that's not what a therapist should do. That's not what one of your friends should do is give you the answers, but just listen to you and maybe ask a question. So what is it what is this making you exactly feel in this moment? What emotions are coming up for you? And then talking you through it, and then just maybe, have you taken a second to breathe? Have you? That can elevate your whole day. This thing called a breath, wow, it's powerful to just sit here. There is many different, you can Google techniques for breath when you're feeling something, because this is what we have, our breath, from the time we come in this earth till we leave this earth. But I am going to go on my last break. And of course, you've been joining me, Sandee Byrd, on Emotional Elevator. And this is on the Inspired Choices Network. And like I said, if you want to reach out to me, oh gosh, I haven't even mentioned this yet. Reach out to me at sandy@emotionalelevator.com. You can reach out to me also on my business email. And I've had somebody reach out to me, so thank you very much. sandeebirdcoach@gmail.com. If you just need someone to listen, or if you saying, you know what, you're right. Breathing in and holding it, wow, that does elevate my emotions. Or I'm 52 years old and I threw a temper tantrum and it felt hella good. I didn't think I could go sit in the closet and just stomp my feet and it would make me feel so good. All these things will make you feel good. But we are going to go on our last break because the show is almost over. But again, I am Sandee Byrd. I am an expert on all these topics because life is messy sometimes. My life is messy sometimes. That means I can relate as a coach too, because I don't come out here and parade having perfect life. I have messy times too. So we are going to go to a break.
Are you living a life of psychological trauma or suffering from an addiction? Are you ready to learn new techniques to elevate your emotions without sustaining or obtaining them from substances that are not good for your mind or body? Then continue to tune into Emotional Elevator with trauma, addiction, life, and spiritual coach, Sandee Byrd, where you will learn techniques to elevate your emotions that don't require a magic pill, food, or impulsive behavior. Listen to Emotional Elevator with Sandee Byrd, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Pacific, on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is Emotional Elevator with Sandee Byrd. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to sandy@emotionalelevator.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back. We only have a few moments left. Few, more than a couple. But tonight, as I've been saying, life is messy, and it's how we handle the messiness of our life and how we see the messiness. Do we see it as just a challenge? And how we can elevate ourselves by doing things like just breathing, like I said, doing a deep breath of like an 8 to 12 count, holding it for a 4 count, and then just sighing it off. And when you sigh it out, let it go. I know that's easier said than done, but it works. Doing some tapping, learning tapping techniques. Even if you just do a simple tap, you don't really need to know a lot about tapping. Or you just take things and act like you're wiping it off your body. That's something I enjoy doing, is acting like I'm in the shower and I'm just getting the negative, getting what is holding me down off of me. And then just being grateful, journaling about it, journaling what I am grateful about in my grateful journal. Sorry, I'm about to. Thank you. But it's just those things, and having resources, having someone there, coach, therapist, just someone who's going to help you elevate your emotions or teach you techniques and tools to use. Because there's nothing worse than having a messy situation or a challenging situation in your life and you're just sitting in it. And then each day comes even bigger challenge. And sometimes we don't even see what the challenge is because we can't see it. We can't see, why is it messy? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I being dragged down? Why do I not feel like getting out of bed today? Maybe it's because you piled on too much. Well, I'm that person sometimes where I think, oh, let me get all this done. Especially when I come in from being out of town and then I'm going back out of town for 10 days. So I want to get everything done. But what if I don't get it done? What is that going to really hinder? Just something that I can look forward to when I come back. And if it's something that in the moment you really don't want to handle, what is going to happen if you say, you know what? Let me let somebody else handle this in this moment. Because life is messy. And do you want it to be all storms and rain and clouds? Or do you want to see the rainbow sometimes? Do you want to see that rainbow? Or you just want to hide under the clouds? And there's nothing wrong when life is a little messy to take that day and say, you know what? I'm going to take a day. I'm going to just take a day. But that doesn't mean you take that day and then you take the next day and the next day and make the mess. Make that mess so big it's burying you. But again, you can always reach out to me if any of this speaks to you about life being messy and the challenges you're going through, and you just want someone to listen, because like I said, as a coach, we are not going to give you all the answers. That's for you to figure out the answer. Reach out to me, sandeebirdcoach@gmail.com or sandy@emotionalelevator.com. I am always here. I have many coaches I know that are working with people too. But it's, what can we do to make your life not be so messy? What is it? What support do you need when life is messy? Do you just need to learn some techniques or tools? Or do you just need someone to listen to you so you can play it out? You can talk loud about it to somebody and come up with your own ideas, your own solutions. Because that's what we need in life. And I'm so grateful for you joining me on Emotional Elevator. And I am Sandee Byrd. And please reach out to me. Oh, I didn't even talk about next week's show. I didn't. Selfish equals self-love. Does selfish equal self-love? That's next week. Stay tuned.
Thank you for listening to the Emotional Elevator Show. Sandee returns Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, start elevating your emotions and stop riding the emotional elevator that is stopping you from living the life you deserve.